engagements with role players and in specific areas. And all of that was made available, and the most pertinent aspects was then highlighted in those discussions. It was a presentation, and then the community was able to put any questions and request any clarity. In terms of the implementation of the tariffs, we just need to once again refer you to Section 43 of the Municipal Finance Management Act that have a very clear distinction on how the municipality deals with its tariffs once approved. And the one basis is if the Nersa makes their provision or determination before 15 March, by 1 July, what you implement must be Nersa, what Nersa approved. If the final determination is made after the 15th of March, the city can implement what it approved, and that's supported by National Treasury Circular 58, just in terms of the budget provisions. And then just in terms of legal argument, so it's not, I can't say it's fact, but in terms of legal argument, if there's very specific legislation dealing with a very specific aspect, it has very stronger weight than a general provision. So read on that. The initial bill until the 15th, because at that point in time it seemed like a viable date, which of course will have to be, might have to be reconsidered, and we will have to take political guidance on that. So we haven't built on conventional meters. On the prepaid, the new tariff has been implemented, but the city has already given an undertaking that if any changes are made, credits will be given to the prepaid customers. It's possible in terms of the technical system, we know who bought what, and if credits have to be given, the city can do that. It will take some time, but we've already given the undertaking that we will.
Just to get clarity on that, are you with the provisions of the MFA, which you said are supported by the what is it, the Treasury's
Circular 58, and just for clarity, that is the circular that prescribes the budget process in
yes, that's the circular on budget process. That's
yes.
Fine. I'm saying what I want to get clarity on. Are you then saying that the city has implemented the tariffs that were approved by the council
on the prepaid?
Or for what? For the prepaid?
For prepaid electricity, and in terms of that, the city has given an undertaking. If there's any change to that, all prepaid customers will receive a credit.
Credit based on what?
Based on, so if there's a challenge and the basic charge falls away or changes, whatever was paid in terms of the basic charge will be credited to the customer in terms of actual electricity.
So at what point are you anticipating the decision of Nersa? I'm trying to understand at what point are you considering the issues of credit? Are you saying that should Nersa take a decision and perhaps the decision is different from what the municipality has implemented, then you will do a reconciliation and provide the
yes.
credits? Is that the case?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm trying to understand. At what point would that refunds and reimbursements will kick in?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just for confirmation and for the record, you are saying that the municipality has gone ahead and implemented the tariffs that were approved by the council, and that is in respect of the prepaid customers only. And what happened with the other categories?
We haven't billed from the 1st of July because of the public hearings. We anticipated that that process will be finalized. So the initial idea was that we will only start billing from the 15th of July, but as I indicated, we might have to reconsider that in the light of the fact that we still need to provide more information.
Okay.
But for July, we have not billed at all on conventional meters.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Chair, maybe just a quick follow-up on that. So for your prepaid customers, what basic charge have you have been charged from the 1st of July?
For the domestic, 56 rand.
56 rand.
Yeah, because that's an amendment that was made by the council in its June meeting.
You may proceed unless you want to clarify with other categories of customers to say on prepaid, what has been implemented with respect to other prepaid customers.
Yeah, no, it's only prepaid that's been implemented. No conventional meter billing has taken place since the 1st of July. That's just the issues that I wanted to raise from my side. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chairperson. There was a question also relating to whether tenants that stay in a flat who has got less than 150 flat, does it qualify for line tariff? And we say, Chair, if the tenant is within the city of Tshwane, direct supply, not through the reseller, we will classify him within that category. But if it's within the reseller space, the reseller's process kicks in. Yeah, but then the tariffs will be balanced using the reseller's tariffs as applied. I think the case relating to rural or farmlands, as my city manager was raising, is that we didn't. There was no requirement that says we must consult individual stakeholders in our public consultation for the IDP budget and including tariffs. What we call a public general meetings, and then we have got a stakeholder summit where everyone could have been able to come and raise some of these aspects. Some of aspects came in, hence I said the considerations why we end up having to review from 610 a fixed charge to 250 is as a basis of also raising the impact on farmland or rural community that aspects. In that I think
can I just find out on that issue with respect to your public consultation process? So you consulted on the basic charge for your domestic customers of 56 Rand, but you later changed it to 120 Rand. Was that based on the outcome of the public consultation?
No. The public consultation went ahead. Remember, part of the rationale which the public raised as a concern. One of these, the cost of electricity that is becoming too high, all stuff. Well, as we then prepare the report to council, we then provide the mayor with what is the issue that are coming from the public. The mayor then informs the mayoral committee and council, so no, informed by this reality, and for our budget to be able to meet what is required. Remember, first when we go to public consultation, we went in just blank on the, or let's say on the draft. Let me say blank because the draft was just late. Well, we went there on the information that we have for our relationship that we have with the regulator, to then say what number can we work around. And then when the draft guidelines comes in, then it informs the team to then rework to say, no, if you are to be within the band of what the regulator said must be, you need to be able to consider this element. And that's when we then look into whether 120 is viable, and council said, no, go correct it. It's going to be a serious impact, not only impact on customer, put it at 56 as per what we went out on consultation. Reduce your quota from 610 to 250 because it's the first introduction, therefore you don't need to serious impact in that aspect. Therefore it was a political council decisions that guided the technical team to say, politically, administratively might make sense for you to want to increase this level, but they have got impacts that we need to look into it from what you have submitted, and that's why we have agreed through Chair that we'll provide that impact analysis that we did on the different categories and compare from all the submissions up to date to ensure that it make it easier for you to make it transition.
I think you've covered some of the questions. We go for the second round of questions. Got a couple of questions to ask. If your team members will be able to write someone, they can try those that cannot write while standing. To find a comfortable space to be able to take down the questions. Is this one?
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, I'll try to rephrase some of these questions the way I understand them. So there's a question regarding the D1 and D2s to say, could you please explain the information that you submitted regarding the D1 and D2 forms as contained in your application dated 18 June. On page 2 of that application, explain how the information on the 18 June application translates to 2 tables on page 2, and if you can take us through an example. I hope that makes sense. I think some of the questions you've answered. There was a question on the dates on which you submitted your tariff application. I think you've answered that. And was this application altered, and if so, when and why? I think that has also been answered, but you can probably also expand if you want to. Is there some reason why electricity users must procure electricity from the Tshwane Metro as opposed to Eskom? And then what measures are in place to ensure that residents in the townships pay for their electricity? The non-payment increases the financial burden on the small pool of paying consumers.
Okay, the other question, I think one that was not answered clearly is on the issue of these fixed charges. How often are these fixed charges going to be levied or imposed on customers? Are these fixed charges going to be a once-off, or are they going to be something that is charged on a monthly basis? And what is the rationale for that? And then secondly, the next question relates to the consultations. And the question is to determine whether the public participation dealt specifically with the restructuring of the electricity tariffs, or did the consultation that you held with the public only mentioned the increase of 12% or 13.87 or 13.07. Did you inform stakeholders that the structures, the tariff structures, are going to change, and why? That is the question. And then the next question related to that, do you have an attendance register so that you can see the level of participation of the public consultations and where these public consultations were held?
Okay. Another question. Will the regular 132 kV trip substations be eliminated if this increase is granted? And how will you deal with the provision of the MFMA that limits introduction of new tariffs to 1 July? Are you planning to ask the Minister of Finance for exemption? And why do service providers like why private service providers like impact meters, because they are making a killing by charging us triple to what you sell to them? Okay, I guess you understand the question.
No, Mr. Tshwane, can you attend to, yeah. Okay, Mr. Tshwane will attend to you. Please respond to those questions that we have put to you, starting with the fixed charges, the frequency of those, monthly, or is it going to be a once-off, and why monthly? And then we proceed with the rest of the questions.
Okay, Chair, I did respond previously, but let me do again. It will be on a monthly basis. So it's not a once-off, it's a monthly basis charge. And with regard to the issue
No, that is why we didn't hear you. It is because you didn't answer the entire question. The question is it going to be monthly or is it once-off, and why? What is the rationale to have it being charged on a monthly basis? That is why we couldn't hear you.
No, I did do a full explanation with regard to that when we were discussing the issues of the weighted average cost versus the issue of individual seasonal tariff one. That is the one I was explaining with regard to it, to say, if you look at the whole basket.
Okay, what you're going to do, you will then just provide that justification. We're not going to take what is the outcome of it. We take the why in the first place. Do you have to do it? Then after that, we look at the impact. Can we do that order? You introduce something, why you introduce it, why when you introduce it why do you introduce it to this extent, and what is the impact? 3 things. Okay.
Chair,
you can move on to the next question.
That's why I'm saying, I did explain it. That's the one you said, you'll give me 7 days, give me an opportunity. You said, after the explanation, we need that information within 7 days. That is why I'm saying that I did explain the whole thing with regard to the fixed charge and the once-off issue. That's why I'm just saying that initially I did respond to that.
Okay?
Yes.
All right, you will then provide the rationale for that, as well as information demonstrating why you recover those costs and the extent to which you pitched those costs, and then the impact.
Yes, that's the information we're going to provide.
Thank you.
And with the issue of saying at the public participation, did we specifically mention the issue of the structural changes? Yes, we did during public participation. We do have registers for the public participations that are signed. It's just like they are on, we do have them scanned, so we will provide those info.
That is 7 days, in the next few days.
Yes, we will provide.
Thank you very much, including issues that were raised by participants during those engagements.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there's a question that asks whether the regular 132 kV network collapsing will be eliminated. Fair fade in any network operator, it's a standard issue. The question is whether are you within what the NRSO 47048 require you to do. Well, I'm not going to, the city of Tshwane, as a licensee, is required to maintain its NRS's compliance. Well, if there are shortcomings, as I said, there was an audit that was undertaken by the regulator with recommendations related to what we need to do on our primary substations in that aspect, and the network, which is what the action plan seeks to address, so to eliminate the deficiencies that are there at that level, which we believe we will be able to attend to some of these aspects.
With regard to the issue of the townships are paying Those which are not paying, we do institute revenue protection actions. We are removing illegal connections. We have intensified our credit control actions in those areas. So we are pushing to get full recovery from the townships. It's not that we are not getting any revenue from the townships. Though it's difficult, but we do push and do those. So we do have programs in place to ensure that we recover from the townships. And with regard to why are they not buying from ESCOM and directly from the city, that is a license issue and also a provision that the metropolitan, category A metropolitan also provides for the electricity and your water services. That is in line with your Municipal Structures Act. That one is part of the functions of a category A municipality. So that because it's supposed to also generate its own revenue and it's not reliant on government grants and all of that. Though we do get grants for your electrification on that, but those are for special projects. But your budget is not reliant on the grants. It's the municipality is supposed to be self-sustained. That's why we provide water and electricity as a category A municipality.
Just to add, I think the point we're trying to emphasize that there's nothing that says within the executive authority that's defined in terms of Section 155 of the Constitution of South Africa, Schedule 4 Part B, clearly defined who's the responsible for articulation of services of gas and electricity, and that's why that municipality are competent in that aspect. However, that does not take away the fact that the regulator then regulates to ensure that the prices of the services or performance of those who are licensed. If, for example, for any reasons, somebody choose to want to get out of City of Tshwane not all suppliers, it means that you are triggering another Section 78 requirement of the Municipal System Act, which must allow us to go probably to say why we believe that we can't do this service ourselves and why we must use an agency in this aspect, let's say in ESCOM as an example. So with that process, that's why the rest process collapsed. It's on the basis of the fact that the constitutional executive authority resides with the council in that fashion.
Sorry, just for the record, I just need to put that the City of Tshwane implements its credit control policy without discrimination. And part of that process is the moment that you qualify to be an indigent, a prepaid meter is installed, and for you to qualify for the lifeline, we also install the circuit breaker referred to in the tariffs. But there's no discrimination in terms of credit control in the city. Thank you.
Sadly, there is one here which sadly will, because of the time, and it's something that should have been at least brought forward, the issue of the presentation of the D1 and the D2, the technical and the financial statement of the D forms. Sadly enough, I will be saying it now, it would have been part of the presentation if we had known that we are required to present on the D forms. So that one, the D forms are available, and we did send them back to Nersa on time. It's just that I was not aware that they will be required for today.
Go to also give us the reasons for the extent of increases. For instance, if we talk about domestic bulk standard supply, and you've got a basic charge, we're informed that the information is not confidential. Is that the case for the application?
Yes, because it's also on the annex charge, so it is similar to what?
So it's not confidential?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to again to reconfirm that so that before I proceed. So I was just going to say that with regards to the extent, this is just one example that we wanted to test with the city, where in the previous year on basic charge you've got 537. Then this year you increase it to 2,697, which amounts to more than 400% increase. These are the kind of things that we are trying to understand, to say, with the very same principles and values that you indicated in the presentation earlier on transparency, and at least on the side of the customer, the predictability, in terms of the increases that they may expect in the following year. Now, if it increases by about 400%, would you regard that then as something that was expected by customers, or maybe you can answer it in that response that you're going to provide, to say what is the basis of increasing this basic charge by more than 400%, and what is the impact? Those are the kind of things that I'm expecting the city of Tshwane to respond to, because if something increases by more than 400%, really we would like to understand what is the basis of that.
Okay, with regard to the basic charge, if you look at the whole block in totality, what we increased on the basic charge, we reduced on the energy charge. So the impact of the consumer on the consumer based on the consumption, we wanted to shield that from that, so that on a monthly basis, if you were on a on 150 kVA, you are still able to pay up within the increment that Nersa had requested. So we did not look on one part. Yes, we increased the fixed charge the way you are referring to it. But if you look on the energy charges, those energy charges went down to ensure that the customer does not feel the fact that we readjusted the basic charge. What happened was that the basic charge,
I think we're not going to be able to exhaust all of that. It was just one example where I demonstrated to you that we, as a regulator, we come across the kinds of increases of this nature, in addition to the requirements of the policy. And we are unable to understand, at least to understand, why did you get to this? What were you trying to achieve? What cost were you trying to recover? And why did you go to this extent of the increase, not this extent of the increase? And I'm saying that's part of what you need to respond to when you give us that information. Because in any event, what is before us now is not what the policy requires of you, because we don't have those bases as to then when you restructure it and put it like this, or this kind of increase, what led to that. So we're giving you an opportunity to come back to us in writing, as opposed to respond to it now, in detail now, because you're not gonna be able to exhaust that, because even on the same one of the domestic bulk, you've got a new thing that you introduced. Apart from that 400% increase, in addition to it, you introduced a 194 demand charge, and also you increase the energy charge just on that one, and it gets to about 34% if you look at. So those are the kind of things. So it's not going to help to really respond. Yeah, in that sequence. Okay, we do have another question from the member of the audience here. The one that I can see quickly here from the handwriting is to ascertain from the municipality its ability to service other customers and put its own metering, as opposed to using a middleman again, because you've got ESCOM, it's got its own cost, and then those costs are passed on to the municipality because you are the bulk customer of ESCOM. And then if there's another middleman again between the final customer, that also adds a cost, and who suffers is the customer. So the question here is, why can't the city run its metering and cut the middleman? Because residents pay a lot, and that talks to also the ability of the municipality, as it is also your mandate, if you talk about the constitution, to say that if it's in the municipal area, you have to then supply those. So it's a basic function of the municipality in that regard, and it's a constitutional what is it? mandate of the municipality. Then the second question linked to that, what steps can we take to cancel the private metering, such as, this one I can't, that is owned by companies such as Constantia metering, impact metering, city property, and the others. It's just by way of example to indicate these other companies that are in the middle, because the residents are trying also from their side, in as much as they try to use less electricity and be efficient, but they also want to cut other costs. So they are asking here on the ability of the municipality to fulfill or discharge its mandate of supplying to customers, its ability to supply. So what can they do if they want to be supplied directly by the municipality? I think that's the essence of the question.
Okay, with regard to your first question, yes, the current bylaws and policies of council are saying that 1 connection point per stand. In this instance, you find that your domestic complexes are sitting on 1 stand. That's why the issue of the bulk points. We are looking into reviewing the bylaws to ensure that we are able to supply within the complexes as and when they apply for it. We don't, without imposing it, so they will have an option of saying we want electricity directly from the city or electricity from the resellers. Yes. Previously, if you take note that previously with your flats, like the Sunnyside flats and all of those things, they were supplied by the city inside, so we had electricity inside. So what happened was that part of the actions that we took with regard to the third one of what happens with your Constantia, your impact metering and all of that. When the flats were applying for the bulk connection to move away from the city, we asked them to ensure that each and every resident in that flat signs it off. It does not become a board resolution to say we are going for a third party. It becomes an individual choice because everybody has a right to be able to get services from the city. So in the tariff document there, for a number of years right now, we did put up a penalty of 1 million for all the resellers which are not complying with the resale amount. And then due to the fact that we did not want to have this thing of saying it's not in writing, even on the resale, we even made sure that we have a place where it says reseller resale prices. We took those domestic, we put them there the same way, so that there is no ambiguity and they won't say that we just didn't know what to sell to the consumer. So even on the tariffs there, that's why that we've got those 26 odd tariffs, is because in there we did ensure that we put up all those things. And one of the things that currently we are doing is that on a case-to-case basis, we are in consultation with Nersa's case field office. So as and when consumers complain with the third parties and all of this, so we do go and sit there. The third party comes and present their case. The residents present their case. In other instances, what happens is that outside of the electricity charge, because they will apply the electricity charge, you find that the board of trustees agreed with the resellers to say add 10 rand, add 20 rand on the thing. So that is something else that we pick up.
Okay, but now we're going to cut you, because now you must also take your customer education as a plan, so that you clarify these things properly as the municipality, so that at least you get a feel and engage. And even after this session, you need to have your own session to engage with all the groups and customers, so that you clarify some of the concerns from customers and how you can improve your service and how you can handle some of their complaints. So we're not going to use Nersa's time for that, but we appreciate the amplification. Thank you. Would you please deal with that, and then we've got the very last question.
Thanks, Chair. I am very mindful of time. I've observed that we've deliberated on the issues and so forth. I just want to clear a little bit on the I thought I should share my voice on the issue of the mandate of the municipality in terms of the provision of the services. I think we need to remember that the provision of the services is guided by the township processes. You get various types of townships, you get full title townships, you get sectional title townships, you've got the section 21 developments, which I'm not going to discuss because it needs a day or a week at least on its own. Full title townships as per the township processes guided by the ordinance, where you've got two options. Either the services are taken over by the municipality. An example is your Wood Hill Country Estate. It is a gated community, full title development, where the owner owns, they bought and they own the property, they own the houses. But the infrastructure inside the development was taken over by the municipality at proclamation stage, and even still today, we go in there and we maintain that infrastructure. So we provided a connection at that. Then you get your sectional title developments, where the land parcel is regarded as one. Initially, when you do the township process, there should be at least two. Then they get consolidated. After proclamation, they need to subdivide. But now those are sectional title developments. That is why it is not that the city is neglecting its responsibility. It is how the township process was designed. And in that state, we have to provide a single bulk water connection and a single bulk sewer connection. And inside the development, and in the states, you will have a homeowners association where each owner of the property has to be a member of the homeowners association, and they do their further water metering and so forth.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Mr. Smanda, the very last question.
Yeah, this is a very brief and direct question. So the question is, what is the fixed charge for residential consumers, and what was it before? And this is reference to the D1 form on page 2, where there's a figure of 2,385 rand 74 versus the 607 rand and 10 cents. So the question is, what is the fixed charge of for residential consumers, and what was it before? I guess this also speaks to your whole process of public consultations, but maybe if you can just briefly respond to that. Thank you.
Chair, I think some of the questions is the same question but in a different phrase. The one for the 607 and 2000, that's the one she was referring to say that the questions, it seems like it's just different way of putting them, but it's the ones we just responded to.
Sometimes it is the way that it is responded to, and I always appreciate it when the person puts it out. I take that as an opportunity to find the simplest way of making each and every single person who's there to hear me clearly. So if you can attempt to do that, I will appreciate it.
Okay. Previously with the domestic, there was no fixed charge. And right now we have introduced a new fixed charge of 56 rand. Previously on the domestic bulk, we had a 607 fixed charge with a specific kilowatt. This financial year we have introduced a fixed charge. We have amended the fixed charge, and it's now sitting at 2,400 as compared to, possibly it should have been, I'm just not computing it right now, that it should have been roughly with the 13.07, probably sitting at 690 odd there. I think that is the question that is being referred to. So that one, what we did, that's why I said we did look at the energy to ensure that we cater for that increment. So we reduce the energy to cater for that. So we did take into consideration the issue that we put in the bulk, the demand charge, and increase the basic charge. But we are going to include all of these things on more details when we do a formal written response. But to the consumers, it's just that we have increased, we are aware of the increase. So we did cushion that with the kilowatt charge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it is a good time for us then to break for tea. Let's break for 20 minutes for tea, and we'll be here. This is the time. 20 past now. 20 past 12, we'll be here at 22 to 1. All right, let's break for tea.